my name is Daniella Cole. I'm in 5th grade. Today I'm going to talk to you about my experiment. Do elements affect rocks? My purpose is to observe changes that can occur by chemical elements being submerged on certain rocks. The materials I used are Pepto-Bismol, Mountain Dew, hydrogen peroxide, liquid chlorine, neon glow sticks, clear plastic cups, The rocks I used were 5 granites, 5 rhyolites, 5 sandstone, 5 gypsum, 5 slate, and 5 amphibulite. Scale. I used a scale, gloves, and measuring tape. A little bit about the rocks and elements I used is, one type of rock is igneous. Igneous is created by the cooling and solidification of magma and lava. It makes up all except 10% of the top 16 kilometers of Earth's crust by volume. It forms about 15% of Earth's crust as of now. Granite is a common type of felsic, intrusive, and igneous rock, which is a rock that is granular and coarse texture. Rhyolite. Rhyolite is an igneous volcanic rock which texture can be anywhere from glossy to rough. It is usually made of quartz, sanidine, and plagioclase. Another type is sedimentary rocks. They are formed by accumulation of small parts and subsequent dissemination of mineral particles found on the floor of oceans and other bodies of water at Earth's surface. Sandstone is a classic sedimentary rock made of mainly sand-sized mineral particles or rock fragments. Most sandstone is composed of quartz or feldspar because they are the most resistant minerals to the process when the weather wears away or changes the appearance or texture by long exposure to the air at Earth's surface. Gypsum. Gypsum is a soft sulfate mineral made up of calcium sulfate dehydrate. It is widely mined and used for fertilizer and as the main chemical in plaster, blackboard chalk, and wallboard. The last type of rock is metamorphic rocks. Metamorphic rocks make up a lot of Earth's crust and form more than 12% of Earth's surface. They are classified by the amount of chemical and mineral in it. Slate is a fine-grained metamorphic rock that comes from an original shale-tape sedimentary rock composed of clay or volcano ash through a low-grade metamorphism. It is the finest grained metamorphic rock. Amphibulite is a metamorphic rock that contains hornblende and actinolite, as well as plagioclase, which are species of amphibulite. The chemicals I used are hydrogen peroxide, which is 2 hydrogen elements and 2 oxygen elements combined. It is thicker than water and is used often to clean wounds. Chlorine was used in World War I as a poisonous gas. It is a gas found in lots of household items like chlorine bleach. When chlorine is added to the element sodium, it forms salt. Bromine is more efficient at cleaning high-temperature water found in hot tubs. It is used to make the vegetable oil in Mountain Dew heavier, so the oil blends into the soft drink instead of rising to the top and creating a layer of oil. Bismuth is a non-toxic element that sits on the periodic table in between 2 of the most toxic elements. It is the main ingredient in Pepto-Bismol, which aids in upset stomachs. Neon makes things glow, like glow sticks and signs up on stores. Unlike the signs at stores that are powered by electricity, so they will glow all night, glow sticks will run out of neon and stop glowing. My hypotheses for each rock and element are: I predicted that hydrogen peroxide will affect the granite by covering it and after a few hours make the liquid fizz a lot and then make the rock glossy and smooth. I predicted the bismuth will affect the granite by doing nothing to it. Bismuth is for upset stomach, which has a lot of gas in it. And the granite cools the glass. Therefore, I think it will do nothing. I predicted the neon will affect the granite by making it glow for a couple hours. I predicted the chlorine will affect the granite by doing nothing. I predicted the bromine will affect the granite by doing nothing. Bromine is heat and granite cools heat. Therefore, it will do nothing. I predicted the hydrogen peroxide will affect the rhyolite by covering it and then after a few hours make the liquid fizz a lot and then make the rock glossy and smooth. I predicted that bismuth will affect the rhyolite by doing nothing to it. Bismuth is for upset stomach, which has a lot of gas in it, and rocks have no gas. Therefore, I think it will do nothing. I predicted the neon will affect the rhyolite by making it glow for a couple days. I predicted the chlorine will make the rhyolite affect the rhyolite by doing nothing. I predicted the bromine will affect the rhyolite by heating it up and making it more brown blotches. I predicted the hydrogen peroxide will affect the sandstone by covering it, then after a few hours make the liquid fizzle out and then make a rock glossy and smooth. I predict that the bismuth will affect the sandstone by doing nothing to it. Bismuth is for upset stomach, which has a lot of gas in it, and sand does nothing in gas. Therefore, I think it will do nothing. I predicted the neon will affect the sandstone by making it glow. I predicted the chlorine will affect the sandstone by getting rid of any bacteria on the rock because sand has bacteria that lives on it, causing it to have no oxygen in it. Chlorine is a disinfectant that gets rid of bacteria, so this is why I think it will get rid of the bacteria. Also, to make it look glossy like glass. I predicted the bromine will affect the sandstone by turning it into a glass-like texture and round like a ball. I think this because bromine is a hot chemical and sand is hot as well. And when lightning strikes on sand on a beach, it turns the sand into glass. And since sandstone is made up of sand, I think it will turn into glass. I predicted the hydrogen peroxide will affect the gypsum by covering it, and then after a few hours make the liquid fizzle out and make the rock glossy and smooth. I predicted the bismuth will affect the gypsum by doing nothing. Bismuth is for upset stomach, which has a lot of gas in it, and rocks have no gas. Therefore, I think it will do nothing. I predicted the neon will affect the gypsum by making it glow completely until it runs out of neon. I predicted the chlorine will affect the gypsum by doing nothing. I predicted the bromine will affect the gypsum by making it a darker color. I predicted the hydrogen peroxide will affect the slate by making it stronger because hydrogen peroxide is used to heal cuts. So that is why I think it will make the slate stronger. Slate is also kind of weak. I predicted the bismuth will affect the slate by doing nothing to it. Bismuth is for upset stomach, which has a lot of gas in it, and slate, which has no gas. Therefore, I think it will do nothing. I predict the neon will affect the slate by making it glow for a couple days. I predict that the chlorine will affect the slate by doing nothing to it. I predicted the bromine will affect the slate by making it feel hot. Bromine is very hot, and heat put on rocks will make it hot. I predicted the hydrogen peroxide will affect the amphibulite by making it stronger because hydrogen peroxide is used to heal cuts. So that's why I think it will make amphibulite stronger. I predicted the bismuth will affect the amphibulite by doing nothing. Bismuth is for upset stomachs, which have a lot of gas in it, and amphibulite has no gas in it. Therefore, I think it will do nothing. I predicted the neon will affect the amphibulite by glowing a weekend. I predicted the chlorine will affect the amphibulite by doing nothing to it. I predict that the bromine will affect the amphibulite by having mineral loss. Bromine is hot, and amphibulite is made of different minerals, so when heat boils minerals, it results in mineral loss. Therefore, I think it will happen. For 14 days, I observed the rock and elements. On day 1 and 2, the rocks and the neon cuts glowed for 48 hours. It was observed that the gypsum rock appeared to be yellow in color from the neon. Day 3, it was observed that the rocks in the hydrogen peroxide had bubbles around the rocks. Day 7, the granite rock and the neon made it appear glossy. The rhyolite rock was observed to be a darker red than first observed. All the rocks in the bismuth are covered completely, but a thin film has occurred. Day 10, the gypsum rock and the chlorine is bubbling. Only rhyolite and gypsum rocks are the only rocks that are still bubbling, and the hydrogen peroxide. The amount of hydrogen peroxide in all the cups that contain rocks but amphibulite have evaporated some. All the rocks in hydrogen peroxide began bubbling again, except granite. All the rocks in hydrogen peroxide had a funny smell. It is still observed that the gypsum and chlorine bubbly and the liquid is cloudy. When the rocks were taken out of the chlorine and made a fizzing sound. The liquid from the Mountain Dew appeared to have evaporated some. The Pepto-Bismol looks like it had evaporated. There's still a film on the top layer. My conclusions for the effects of the chemicals on the rocks are: Granite and the hydrogen peroxide gained weight and stayed the same in length. There was no color change. My hypothesis was that the hydrogen peroxide would cover the granite and make it glossy and smooth. I was correct. Granite and the chlorine did not affect the rock at all. My hypothesis was that the chlorine will not affect the granite at all. I was correct. Granite and the bromine did not affect the rock at all. My hypothesis was correct because I predicted that it would not affect the rock. Granite and the bismuth gained weight and length stayed the same. My hypothesis was proven wrong. I predicted that the bismuth would do nothing to the rock. The rock became pink and smooth from the bismuth. Granite and the neon, the weight stayed the same but gained length. The texture and color stayed the same. My hypothesis was the neon will make it glow. I was half correct because it glowed, but I didn't include how it changed the rock. Rhyolite and the hydrogen peroxide did not affect the rock except it made it glossy and smooth, which is what I predicted. So I was correct. Rhyolite and the chlorine affected the rock by making it gain weight and gain length. The texture and color stayed the same. I was wrong in my hypothesis because I predicted that the chlorine would not affect the rock at all, and clearly it affected it. Rhyolite and the bromine gained weight, but the length stayed the same. The texture went from rough to smooth. My hypothesis was correct because I predicted that it would cause the rock to have more brown blotches, and it did. The rhyolite and the bismuth gained weight and length. The texture stayed the same. My hypothesis was incorrect. I predicted that the bismuth would do nothing to the rock, and the color changed to pink. Rhyolite and the neon gained weight and length. The texture stayed the same, but the color changed from white to gray with brown spots. My hypothesis was that the neon will make it glow. I was half correct because it glowed, but I didn't include how it would change the rock. Sandstone and the hydrogen peroxide gained weight but stayed the same in length. The color stayed the same. My hypothesis was correct. I predicted that would make the rock glossy and smooth. Sandstone and the chlorine gained weight but it stayed the same in length. The color stayed the same. My hypothesis was that it would get rid of any bacteria on the rock. I thought it would make it glossy like glass. I was correct. Sandstone and the bromine gained weight and lost length. The texture changed from rough to smooth, while the color did not change. My hypothesis was that the bromine would affect this sandstone by turning it into a glass-like texture and round like a ball. I was incorrect. Sandstone and the bismuth gained weight and lost length. The texture changed from rough to smooth, and the color changed from rust with maroon stripes to pink. My hypothesis was that the bismuth would do nothing to the sandstone. I was incorrect. Sandstone and the neon gained weight and the length stayed the same. The texture and color stayed the same. My hypothesis was that the neon would affect the sandstone by making it glow. I was half correct because it glowed, but it didn't include how it changed the rock. Gypsum and the hydrogen peroxide did not affect the rock's weight or length. The color changed from white to peach. My hypothesis was that the hydrogen peroxide would cover the rock and make it glossy and smooth. I was correct. Gypsum and the chlorine lost weight and lost length. The texture did not change, while the color changed from white to peach. My hypothesis was that the chlorine would not affect it. I was incorrect. Gypsum and the bromine did not affect the rock's weight or height. The texture did not change. The color changed from white to peach. My hypothesis was that the bromine would make it a darker color. I was correct. Gypsum and the bismuth gained weight and the length stayed the same. The texture did not change, while the color changed from white to pink. My hypothesis was that bismuth would not affect it at all. I was incorrect. Gypsum and the neon gained weight and the length stayed the same. The texture did not change, while the color changed from white to yellow. My hypothesis was the neon will make it glow. I was half correct because it glowed, but it didn't include how it changed the rock. Slate and the hydrogen peroxide did not affect the rock's weight or length. The texture and color did not change. My hypothesis was that hydrogen peroxide will make the slate stronger. I was correct. Slate and chlorine gained weight and the length stayed the same. The texture and color did not change. My hypothesis was that chlorine would not affect the slate. I was incorrect. Slate and the bromine gained weight and lost length. The texture and color did not change. My hypothesis was the bromine would make the slate feel hot. I was incorrect. The slate and the bismuth gained weight and the length stayed the same. The texture stayed the same, while the color changed from maroon to brown and pink. My hypothesis was the bismuth would not affect the slate. I was incorrect. Slate and the neon gained weight and length. The texture stayed the same while the color changed from maroon to brown. My hypothesis was the neon will make it glow. I was half correct because it glowed, but I didn't include how it changed the rock. Amphibulite and the hydrogen peroxide gained weight and the length stayed the same. The texture stayed the same while the color changed from gray to gray and maroon. My hypothesis was the hydrogen peroxide would make it stronger. I was correct. Amphibulite and the chlorine stayed the same in weight and lost length. The texture and color did not change. My hypothesis was the chlorine would not affect the amphibulite. I was incorrect. Amphibulite and the bromine stayed the same in weight and gained length. The texture stayed the same while the colors changed from gray to black. My hypothesis was the bromine would affect the amphibulite by having mineral loss. I was incorrect. Amphibulite and the bismuth gained weight and the length stayed the same. The texture stayed the same while the color changed from gray to gray and pink. My hypothesis was the bismuth would not affect the amphibulite. I was incorrect. Amphibulite and the neon stayed the same in both weight and length. The texture and color did not change. My hypothesis was the neon will make it glow. I was correct. I did not take into account the measurement of chemical liquids used to perform the experiment. Thank you for taking the time to hear about my experiment. I had a really good time, especially taking the rocks out of the Pepto-Bismol because it was gooey and messy. I also had fun working on this with my mom because I got to bond with her. Thank you. Bye.